video, I'm going to be showing you guys how to make this dress, but we're going to be using an already drafted pattern, which is just a basic pencil skirt pattern and a basic bodice pattern. So that's the only two things that we're going to be using here. So this is my skirt pattern here. So basically all I did here is just to measure my waist divided by 4 plus 1 inch of darting, marks it here. My hip divided by 4 plus, I didn't add any seam allowance here. I'm going to be adding the seam allowance to the fabric itself. So this is basically the skirt pattern here, and then this one here is my top pattern. So this is going to be for the top bodice. So now we are going to go ahead and start cutting it. Guys, basically all you have to do is just to draft out, like I said, this is just a basic bodice, the bust measurement divided by 4. If you want, you can add your seam allowance here, like a basic front bodice, because if you look at the front, you see that is a false wrap top for the top part of this dress. So basically all I did here is just to measure out my basic bodice, bust divided by 4 plus like 1 inch, and then the waist divided by 4 plus extra 2 inches. That's 1 inch for my darting, which is going to come in here somewhere here, right? That's 1 inch of darting, but the one for the back is going to go up to my chest length, right? The one for the back is going to go up to here, but the one in front is going to stop somewhere along this line here. So now this bodice here is what I'm going to use for everything. You see my back neckline, my front neckline. So basically for the back there's going to be a zip, so I added that 1 inch of zipper allowance. So all I have to do now is just to go ahead and cut this out for the back bodice, and then the same thing is what I'm going to do. I'm also going to use this and cut out my front bodice. Guys, on this paper I also added my shoulder to waist is 17, but what I have here is 18 because I need half an inch to join the shoulder, half an inch to join the bottom. So if you look here, you see I have 18 here. So all I have to do now is just to go ahead and cut this out. So this is exactly my back panel. I only have 1 inch of zipper allowance here, right? For my bodice here. So I've gone ahead and cut out. If you look at it, let me place it so you guys would see. So you see the only difference here is I cut off this and then the 1 inch for the back neckline. So that's what I removed. So now I'm going to set this aside, and then I'm also going to notch this part for my darting, and then I'm going to use this same paper now to cut the front bodice. But instead of the 1 inch I use for the back, I'm going to add 4 inches for the front. So using this same paper again, instead of that 1 inch that we had here, I'm going to extend it 4 inches. The reason I'm using 4 inches is because I need it to go towards the other side of the bust so that it can wrap around, right? So I need it to go at least 4 inches in. You can do 5 inches. It depends on you how deep you want the other one to curve into the other one, like a wrap, right? So now I'm going to use this much fabric here, and then I'm going to cut it out. And now that I've pinned this down, so this is the front bodice, like you see the extension I have here. So all I have to do is just to cut this out again this way to the end, right? And then once I cut it, I'm also going to cut it down from here. This is my front bodice. This is not a zip, this is not the zip allowance, this is just for the extension of the wrap. So now I'm going to cut off the armhole. Guys, now that I've cut this side and this out, the only changes you make in front is now from these 3 inches of neckline that you marked, you're going to cut it out this way in form of an angle, right? And you're going to cut it to the end this way. And then the next thing is by this armhole, you're going to go in like half an inch. Remember, that's how you cut a front bodice. So go in by half an inch here, just so that the armhole in front fits good. It doesn't have excess fabric. So that's basically it. So I'm going to remove this paper now and also notch my dart so that I don't make, so this is it here. So basically I have my front panel here, and then all you have to do is just one will be on one side and then the other one, so it's going to look something like this here, you remember? So this is what it's going to look like. So now we are going to move over to the skirt. So guys, now the next thing is to cut my skirt. So like I said, I just marked my basic bodice here, but if you marked your basic skirt with your seam allowance, then you don't have to do this, but I didn't put in seam allowance, so that's why I have my 1 inch of seam allowance all the way down. And then the length of this skirt, I also added the seam allowance on the for the length to the pattern, but I didn't add the width seam allowance. So that's why you have this seam allowance here. But actually the only thing you need is just for the zipper allowance. So you're going to cut 4 of the same thing because of the slit in front of the skirt. You need to have this 1.5 both in front and both at the back. So you need to cut 4 pieces of this. 2 of them will be at the back, 2 of them will be in front. The reason for the one in front is because there's a slit in front that has that center slit. The reason for the one at the back is because of the zipper that you need for the back of the skirt. So all I need to do now is just to cut 4 pieces of this with the same seam allowance that I have. But if your pattern already have the seam allowance, just go ahead and cut it with this side here. So guys, this top, another thing you have to note is that you have to notch for the front pattern. You have to notch where the center is, right? So I've gone ahead and notched mine just so I know that when I'm placing it, I know that this center part is going to meet each other. So like when I go to place it this way now, I know that this center, I'm going to place it on top of each other like this, right? So I'm going to know that this center part is supposed to be here. That's why I made this mark here, so that when you go to sew it down, you know that this and this here, they're supposed to be on top of each other. So this is the center of my top, because imagine if you place it too close, then the shoulder will not be equal. If you place it too wide apart, it will not be equal. That's why before you remove your pattern paper, notch the center so that you know where it falls in. So now all I have to do is just to go ahead and start coupling it together. It depends on you if you want to use lining. And then for my skirt, see, I've already cut 4 of it. You see, there's 1, there's 2, there's 3, and then there's 4 pieces of the same thing. So I'm going to set it aside now, and then I'm also going to notch it. So for the front, you're going to put in your dart. If you want, you can line it, put in your dart here, and then I'm going to use bias to run through the neckline all over, and then we'll come back and do the sleeve, and I'll show you guys how to do that. You see what I did here? So one of the pieces here, the skirt, you see for the back, I closed it up all the way to the end for the skirt. Remember, we cut 2 pieces, and then I put in the zip, joined the back panel to one side to this side, this to this side, and then put in my zip. And then you see for the front, I joined the shoulder to the shoulder, use bias to run the neckline round, right? You see one went in this way and came out this way, this one crossed over like this, and then now what is left is just the front, right? Because this skirt is below, this dress is below the knee, so it's mid-length skirt. So now this is the front panel. You see the same thing, I've joined it this way. You see the one we joined at the back was to accommodate the zip. The one we join in front now is going to be to accommodate the slit. So you can make the slit, how you can stop this stitch wherever you want it to be. So now all I have to do is, remember what I said, to join this front, remember your notch that is going to be at the center. Now what I'm going to do is just to join these two together this way, and then the dress is done. So all you have to consider now is the sleeve. So the sleeve they have there is just a puffy sleeve that has it's like a puffy sleeve that has a band at the end instead of elastic. So basically how you cut the puffy sleeve, I always say, is like you're going to mark, let's say, depending on how puffy you want it to be. So come down 2 inches first, and then your basic 4 inches of length for the cap height, and then you're going to mark from here to this point, find halfway through. So for me, halfway through might be 5.5. Give it a curve here and a curve below. So now just your basic sleeve, but instead you're going to take it up more here to get this part here is going to be the puffy part, and then whatever you have at the end, this opening, you're not going to put in your seam, your sleeve width or anything. All you have is just to get a band, like a fabric, fold it into 2 this way, like this. Make sure that the width can fit in your arm. Like let's say your arm, round your arm is 11, then you're going to make sure that what you have here is about, let's say, 13, so that you have like 1 inch of seam allowance on both ends. And then you're going to take this here and tuck it in between this and make a gather. So that's basically, I'm going to insert a video on how to make that type of sleeve, but basically this video is just on how to construct the dress. So now that I've done that, so guys, I'm going to just go ahead and cut a basic sleeve. I'm not trying to do the one that they have. I just want a basic sleeve because the style is already enough for me, so I don't want to do too much with the sleeve too. So all I have to do is just to mark my basic sleeve. So come down here with 4 inches here, connect it this way. The width I have here is just basically my armhole divided by 2 plus like 1 or so, and then I'm going to find what's halfway through, which is 6, give it a curve this way, and then a curve below this way. And then down here, I'm going to measure my sleeve width divided by 2, which is going to be about, let's say 6.5 plus 1. And then I'm going to connect it this way. So this is basically my sleeve. All I have to do is just cut from here and then join it to the body of the dress and pull everything together. So guys, this is it here. So I've gone ahead and finished up the dress. So you see what it looks like. This is one side and then the other one here. And then this is the bottom part. So you see what I did here. That's extra seam that we used here. All I did, this is just how I did it. So I folded one side of the seam, one side of the 1 inch away this way, folded it in, and then sewed it, came up to this point and then came down again. So that's how I made my slit. So that seam allowance, my seam allowance here, I just tucked it in this way, you see, and then I sewed it and came back down. So that's how I got my slit. So that's basically it. So the back doesn't have any slit. The front is where the slit is. So you see what it looks like at the back here. And guys, don't forget, normally when you're cutting your back panel for the top, you always reduce the center part by 1 inch and blend it into the side. That way your zip doesn't bulk up. So that's basically it for this video. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in my next video. Please guys, like, share and subscribe. Bye.